All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to NoReset Speedrun now that we got a few technical issues out of the way. My name is Kip. I'm joined on the commentary couch by Angie. Angie, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. And we're really excited to be here today to feature a randomizer race for Super Metroid between Rossu and none other than the Zoastmaster himself. And we're here today to talk a little bit about this new randomizer that I've been working on in conjunction with some of the other people in the community. So we're going to detail a few of the changes very quickly before we get the race started so people understand what they're seeing. And on top of that, there's probably several testers in the chat right now. So if anybody has any questions, they can, feel free to ask in the chat, and I'm sure somebody will be there to explain some of it. If you look at the stream at the moment, you'll notice our Dash logo is there, and underneath it is a web page for you to go to find out some more information about that randomizer. And you can also download a program which will generate seeds for you, so anybody can play on their emulator or their SD2 SNES. But very quickly, let's talk about what this randomizer does. It starts off with a very popular randomizer logic created by a guy named Total. We used it in our 2017 Super Metroid tournament. And it's a major-minor split, so major items like suit upgrades and beams and things like that are swapped with other major items, and all the minor items are swapped with each other. So let's talk a little bit about what we did to this randomizer to make it unique and new. We've never had one function quite like this. What we wanted to do was have more diversity in terms of how people could complete seeds and maybe even include some more risky plays. So what we've done to kind of stop people from having to constantly look for things or get gated too heavily too much is we've made some changes to a few of the suit items and weapon items to give them more accessibility. So number one, the bombs, regular bombs is actually an item that will get you inside of the wreck ship reserve location, which is traditionally gated by a speed booster. So that means 2 items now can get to that item. We've updated the spacer beam to be able to not only get to the waterway item, but also through the Botwoon section. So that means that ice and speed booster are no longer 100% required pretty much to finish the game. And then we made one change to gravity suit. Usually in randomizers, gravity suit takes 100% damage from heat. We decided we wanted lower Norfair hell runs to be something that would be a possibility, which is really exciting and sort of risky. So we actually reduced the damage to 50%. So they're still taking damage during those runs, but they have a higher likelihood of surviving if they perform correctly. And last, the most important change is to the charge beam. Usually people in randomizers are either trying to find the charge beam somewhere on the planet, or they're collecting tons and tons of ammo. In this one, we actually start the players with a charge beam, but it's a starter charge beam that only does 30% damage. So that means that if they find the real charge beam, they'll upgrade to the 100% value. But if not, they're still not in a soft lock situation. They can technically fight Ridley and Mother Brain and other bosses right from the very beginning, but they'll have to take a lot more risk because the fights will go a lot longer. So It's kind of a risk-reward feature. And so anyway, if you want to test this randomizer out, feel free to go to the webpage, and we're looking for some feedback. And we're going to, in the near future, migrate over to the Varia randomizer website, which is a really popular website for our randomizers in the community. So with that said, I think we're ready to start. We'll throw it over to the control room. What do you guys think?
Well, let's just make sure that the players can hear you. So we're going to do a little modification to the mix on the fly to make sure that this randomizer is fair and square for both participants. Not that they need the help, obviously. I mean,
of course. So you guys can't up just a little bit on the music for Rossu? Okay, cool. So I think we're good. And yeah, you just ready to count it down for us?
Well, give me a second. We're going to go to the actual scene. Give me 1 second. Here we are. All right. Perfect. So we're ready for the countdown. Everyone together, we're going to go 3, 2, 1, go, all right? So let's start this race in 3, 2, 1, go!
All right. This should be a lot of fun. So the first thing you'll note about the randomizer is that instead of starting on series stations, you actually start on the planet. That's one of my favorite things about running randomizers is I don't have to do series station because I hate that part of the game. So yeah, what they're going to do now is head down to the vanilla morphing ball location. Vanilla morphing ball is basically that location, and then an item in the ceiling and a few rooms over are basically going to be the first 2 major items they get. And one of those has to be Morphing Ball, or else they really can't go through the rest of the game. So I'm actually curious to see what the extra item is. Angie, you got any guesses what you think the item might be?
You're talking to the wrong person, man.
Just, when in doubt, just say E-Tank.
E-Tank.
And that's
right,
probably what it'll be. So on Zoe's side of the screen, we'll see what's at the Morphing Ball location. Okay, we have Vanilla Morphing Ball. That means that the next item in the ceiling is going to be whatever our first randomized item will be. It still might be an energy tank, which is what you see in the vanilla game, or it could be some other upgrade. So depending on what it is, it actually could have a pretty big impact on some of their decisions moving forward. And we'll see what happens here. I do want to point out real quick that we do have an incentive going for this this randomizer race. We have save the animals and kill the animals.
Yeah.
And I do want to warn everybody, the save/kill function is a little bit different in the randomizer, so we'll see what happens when we get there. Oh, we got the grappling beam as the secondary item. That's very interesting. So what that means is right away, they already have an item that's pretty comfortable in terms of potentially checking other item locations like the X-ray location, or potentially getting into wreck ship pretty easily. So that item could change the way that they route this depending on how comfortable they are with different tricks.
Do we have time for a donation real quick?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So we have a $45 donation by Takate, who says, following up on my Metroid Death Pledge, great run on Nova. That Mother Brain fight was the stuff of legend, and good luck to the Super Metroid runners.
Excellent.
And I just want to say that the bid war is on for Save or Kill the Animals. What we did is we disabled the other bid war for Resident Evil 3 just for the duration of the randomizer. And right now, Save is in the lead at $656.44 with Kill. Yeah, that's right. Save the Animals. And then we got Kill the Animals at $200.24. So if you want to save the frames, you know what you got to do. You got to donate.
Yeah, I have to say that I'm never going to complain about any money being donated for charity, but at the same time, if you're a Super Metroid speedrunner, you've got to be behind Kill the Animals. It sounds really bad to people that don't know the game, but I promise you, Kill the Animals is much better. But we'll see what happens.
One day, Peta's going to march in on a speedrun marathon. I'm just calling it.
Okay, so Zoast is coming up here on the Vanilla Bombs location. So this can be a major item. We'll see what it is. Oh, wow, Screw Attack.
Nice.
Screw Attack is one of the most powerful items in the game. It makes the run a lot safer, especially in some of the later, harder portions of the run, like Lower Norfair. But the flip side is Screw Attack is an interesting item because it doesn't actually really progress you traditionally. Like, it's not going to be a major item that helps you get through a lot of sections of the game, but it does make a lot of things a lot easier. So I'm sure they're both happy to find it. We're coming up on our next major item location, the Terminator Energy Tank. Holy cow, we got Wave Beam. This is really rare. Most of the time we have at least 1 or 2 energy tanks by this point, but so far, only other interesting major upgrades. So one thing I will point out in this new sort of version of this randomizer, since they have a starter charge beam, they actually can use X-Factor strats and other special beam attacks, which is where you use a power bomb and then you charge your individual beam. And that actually leads to a lot of interesting speedrun strats they can use later. The X-Factor will actually do full damage. Looks like Rossu here is going to take his Screw Attack and use it to go check the Gauntlet location, and Zoast is skipping that. So if this ends up being like a really good item, it could change the way Rossu plays the rest of the time. But if it's something bad, or maybe just something relatively inconsequential, then it might end up being just a time sink that allows Zoast to get even further ahead. This Gauntlet section is very risky. As you can see, this acid here does a ton of damage to Samus. So Rossu's got to be very careful. Interestingly, Zoast sees a power bomb back here, but he can't get to it, or he can get to it, but it would be a lot harder with just the Screw Attack. So he's going to go back now and try some interesting speed tech to get back there behind it. If he can sort of clip his way into this little small area, he can then re-jump and use his Screw Attack to break that. We're not sure if it's required for him to pick up that power bomb. Usually you need a power bomb to progress, but in this particular logic, we've changed some of the minor item ratios, and there are actually more power bombs than in the vanilla game. Oh, looks like it doesn't matter. There's a power bomb, and on Rossu's side, looks like he was not pleased with what he found at the Gauntlet, so he reset and is now heading down to Green Brinstar himself. So since Zoast has power bombs earlier than normal, he's actually able to access this portion of the map, which he normally wouldn't in a traditional speedrun. And we're gonna find our next major item. Let's see what he finds down here. Oh, I could not be happier, because one of the things we changed in this randomizer was the functionality of Spazer. This is actually going to give Zoast way more access to different areas of the map. We wanted to make a change to Spazer because Spazer is probably the most overlooked item in Randomizer. All it really does normally is provide a little bit extra damage, but if you find Plasma, you would never ever use Spazer really for any reason. So we, instead of buffing its damage or something like that, wanted to give it more map utility. So I'm really curious to see if this leads to a waterway check for Zoast here in a couple rooms.
Time for donations?
Absolutely.
So we got a $19.47 by Cyclops GVU says 4, because the amount is 44444.
Nice.
But then we got a $45 donation by Noda. The counter didn't update yet. It updates every 45 seconds or so, but they say, loved watching the streamers prepare for the race. Much love to Rossu from the Bongo squad. Saving animals is more important than saving frames. Good luck to both runners. Looking forward to a great race. That being said, Save the Animals not $701.44, while kills at $224. So, I mean, for speedrunners, you guys sure like wasting time. I mean, come on. Like, I'm on the Save the Animals camp here, but I do like a good bid war. And I mean, right now it's just a slaughter.
Well, we're going to see if Save the Animals ends up remaining in the lead and wins. We're going to see exactly what happens, because in this randomizer, some very weird, strange things can happen if you try to save the animals. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
Zoast actually found a reserve tank at that Wavegate energy tank location just a second ago. And normally, if you don't have the wave beam, you have to use a super missile glitch to get that item. But since he actually found wave beam early, he did not have to do that trick. And this is actually, we get to feature one of the changes to the randomizer. Normally, in any other randomizer at this location, if you don't have Speed Booster, then you can't access this item. But through the power of some awesome programming done by one of our great Super Metroid ROM hack programmers, Smiley, he was able to custom make some tiles for me that went in here and allowed Spazer Beam to break them instead of the Speed Booster. So very cool. And Zoast is rewarded with just an energy tank.
Just an E-tank.
Unfortunately.
Why so much hate for the E-tank, man? It saves your life.
It sure does. The interesting part, though, is there's so many energy tanks that in some ways you could argue that him finding the Spazer Beam and then using that Spazer Beam to check this item actually cost him time, because otherwise, if he wouldn't have been able to access it, he wouldn't have checked it, but he wouldn't have missed anything because it would have only been a tank. So there's a lot to weigh when you're deciding what items to check and what not to check. In the meantime, looks like Rossu elected to nope out on that reserve tank. Zoast's gonna check another minor location, finding another power bomb pack. He's up to 3 power bomb packs, which is actually a really good thing for potential scenarios that can happen later. We upped the number of power bombs because we wanted there to be a little bit higher likelihood of being able to use a crystal flash, which is a mechanic in the game. It's actually not a bug or like a trick. It's actually a mechanic that exists in the game that lets you sacrifice 10 missiles, 10 supers, and 11 power bombs to refill your entire energy back up if you're doing a hell run. So if you have more power bombs, you have a way more likely chance of being able to do that.
And fun fact about the Crystal Flash is that if you let the demo reel for the game run when you start the game and you don't go into it, then it's actually featured in the demo reel.
That's correct. So Zoast is being incentivized here to go check this X-ray item because he has the grapple beam early. You actually can access this item location even without grapple beam this early, but it requires some, pretty tricky movement, and it's also very dangerous if you mess up. And it looks like he only found an energy tank here as well, but he's going to go ahead and pick it up. I like that call. Usually it's not a good idea to turn down energy tanks too much early, because if you end up having to do hell runs later, it's just better to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
So Angie, I know that you don't play Super Metroid much, but you do speedrun a lot of other games, and obviously you're very familiar with Zoasty here. So do you have a favorite Super Metroid item?
I'd have to think about that.
Yeah, be careful, because if you say the wrong thing, there's going to be people that get
of
upset.
course.
There's a lot of spring ball lovers out there, so we'll see how upset they get. My favorite item is the high jump boots, so I'm curious to see if they find it. Usually the high jump boots is one of the most comfortable items in terms of if you're used to speedrunning.
Right.
If you don't find it in a run, you end up having to move very differently in a lot of the rooms, so I'm curious to see if they find it. Zoast now backtracking. Ooh, he's in a little bit of an awkward position here because of the screw attack, but he's fine now. He's gonna check this Spazer location. Let's see what we got here at Spazer. This is gonna be another major item. Ooh, the space jump. This is what makes Super Metroid randomizers fun, because in vanilla, you don't find the space jump till very late in the game, in Meridia, after you kill Dragon, which is the third major boss. And so now that he has the space jump here this early, he can like change the way he moves through a lot of these rooms. So it makes it a really unique experience. Rossu, in the meantime, also found his energy tank at the X-ray location. Looks like both runners decided to go down first. Neither one of them being tempted to go up to wreck ship. Sometimes you can go to wreck ship early if you have the either requisite equipment or if you pull off some pretty tough speedrun tech, but sometimes it's not always the safest move, so I think this is a pretty smart decision for them to go and check some of the lower or items in the bottom of Red Tower first. Ooh, this is very nice. We actually lowered the ratio of super missiles in this particular randomizer because super missiles are incredibly powerful versus bosses like Ridley and Mother Brain, because they really sort of limit the amount of charge shots you would have to use. So him finding that in that location is actually pretty good and could potentially have an impact later when he's fighting Ridley. So Zoast is going to be coming up on the vanilla first boss in the game, Kraid, and he's going to be attempting to do the Kraid quick kill, which is always a fan favorite trick. So if he does the quick kill correctly, Kraid will not get a chance to stand up. Requires 1,000 damage to kill Kraid, and if you lock him in place here at the beginning, you can actually get all that damage in before he stands up. Very nice.
Also know that the reason why I was waiting for Kraid to come up in the morph ball is to reduce lag in the game.
That's a good point. Ooh, the X-ray scope.
That's my favorite item. That's the one.
So the X-ray scope is probably the most used item if you play the game casually, because you just walk in every room and try to stare at everything to make sure to find the items. But it actually does have a little bit of a function in Randomizer. If you have the charge beam and the plasma beam with that X-ray, when you get into Meridia, you can actually what we call microwave some of the bosses, where you fire a plasma shot and then sort of pause the game using the X-ray, and you'll hit the boss several times in a row. So it'll be interesting to see if they find the plasma beam and get to utilize that tech. Zoast gets one more item that he can check before he is required to make a decision to go down to Norfair or go back up to wreck ship. Looks like he found only a reserve tank. So currently, he's only got a couple more places he can check in Norfair before he would be required to do a hell run. And hell runs are when you don't have the Varia suit and you're taking heat damage constantly in the room. So we'll see what he decides to do. He could actually still decide to go up to wreck ship. Looks like he's going to go ahead and head down and check the ice and high jump boot locations. Meanwhile, Rossu also getting a very nice Kraid quick kill. Nicely done. And he will find his X-ray. Let's see if he skips it. No, he's going to grab it. So he's doing a little bit of farming here, I think, to fill up some of his reserve tank. And it looks like he's going to check the high jump boot location first before checking ice, because that ice will be a hell run. One thing I do need to note, this item that Zoast just picked up right here in the vanilla game would normally be an energy tank, which would make it a major item. But we had to redistribute some of the item locations just to make things a little more balanced for randomizer purposes. So that particular location is now a minor item, and we moved that major over into the wreck ship. So there's a location in the wreck ship that used to hold super missiles that will now have a major item. There's actually 4 major items in the wreck ship. He found vanilla bombs, so that does mean if he does go to wreck ship, he now has access to that reserve tank location that he normally would not have had if he didn't have the speed booster. Looks like he's going to make a save here. in preparation for his hell runs. I like this call. He's only sacrificing a little bit of time, but this will stop him from having to reset all the way to the very beginning of the game if anything bad happens during these hell runs. So he's going to use a mock ball here. He's going to jump and maintain his run speed. And his compressed hitbox allowed him to get under that gate. Normally, you wouldn't be able to get to this item location without speed booster in terms of the intended way. So that's some cool speedrun tech. And looks like Rossu is also going to head down here and check the high jump locations. What do we got at Ice Beam? Oh, another reserve. That's 3 reserves. That's pretty bad.
God, I know.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. So that means Zoast has a choice here. When he gets back to the business center, which is the main room in Norfair that he came down on the elevator. Okay, he's actually going to make the decision to just reset, which is going to save a good amount of health. He's just going to reset to this room that's in Norfair where he can immediately go and do his hell runs instead of having to start the hell runs with the health that he had already lost from checking the ice location. So we got a little bit of a high five here. Both runners running through the business center. Looks like Rossu has a similar idea to Zoast. He's going to make a little bit of a save here before he checks anything else. And he's also going to head over to check the ice location. So if you look at Zoast's health right now, you can see it's constantly ticking down since he does not have the Varia suit. And in this particular case, it's ticking down at its highest rate because he also doesn't have the gravity suit for the 50% heat reduction damage that we made the change to. But luckily for him, he has space jump and screw attack, which basically means he can just jump through a lot of these rooms and not have to worry about hardly anything.
Yeah.
Looks like Rossu made the same decision as Zoast, deciding to reset to the save, and I would imagine he's going to do some hell runs as well. So this Bubble Mountain location actually has 3 major items. One of them is at the speed booster location that Zoast is about to head to, but he has to stop here and farm to get his health high enough. So he's going to be sitting here trying to fill up on some health for a little while because he doesn't know what item's going to be down here, and if it's not an energy tank and he doesn't get a refill, he's going to need several hundred energy to both get down there and back without dying. Looks like Rossu's making an interesting choice here. After getting his bombs, he is actually heading up to the wrecked ship location instead of going to do hell runs. So let's see how that fares for him. The wrecked ship location will actually have 4 major item locations, and those could either be energy tanks or the 4th reserve tank or several of the other really good items that we haven't seen so far, such as the suits. Oh, spring ball lovers rejoice. This is a lot of people's favorite item. I'm sure there's a lot of spring ball hype going on in the chat right now. But Zoast has spring ball, which is actually a really helpful item in certain situations, but the fact that he already has space jump means some of its utility is a little bit less, because there are cases where you can use spring ball to do some higher jumps than you would normally be able to do. So Zoast is now going to refill back on his energy before heading to check probably the wave location next. There's actually a reserve tank location item over to the left of Bubble Mountain that he can check as well. We'll see if he decides to go over there. Rossu heading up through Red Tower, and he's going to get ready to go take a visit to Fantoon. You can't access any of the Fantoon major items until you kill Fantoon. So we'll see what kind of strats Rossu wants to use in his fight. Ooh, Zoast skipping that missile pack. And what is he going to find at the wave location? Whoa, the speed booster. All right, this is one of the most powerful items, not only in Super Metroid speedrunning, but also in Randomizer. Normally, it would be the only thing that would give you access to certain locations, but since we changed some of the items, that's not necessarily true anymore, but it does offer a lot of utility and will allow him to do a lot of strats that Rossu can currently not do. Not to mention, I mean, if you're doing a speedrun, you're trying to go fast, right? So something like Speed Booster is probably going to be helpful. Zoast is kind of low on health, so he's actually going to go in here and save. The good news is if you look at his ammo count, he has enough ammo. He has 10, at least 10, 10, and 11. for him to do that crystal flash I was referring to earlier. So we'll see what he chooses to do. He might choose to just kind of run through here and check the item without crystal flashing and then reset if it's not a good one, or he could decide to just go ahead and refill for the ammo cost. On the right side, you'll note Rossu is getting ready to fight Phantoon, and even though he doesn't have charge beam, he does have that starter charge beam, and he's going to be able to do those X Factor strats using the power bombs he has selected, so this is actually pretty hype. Zoast finds an energy tank, puts him in a bit of a conundrum. He could just reset, but it's probably about the same to just collect it and get a refill on his energy and then continue. All right, let's look at Rossu. Getting a nice Doppler in on the first round. He's probably going to go for a 3 or 4 round Phantoon here because he didn't quite get enough Doppler missiles in on the first round to get a 2 round. So we'll just have to wait and see how the rest of this fight goes. Phantoon offering a slow pattern on round 2. You'll note since Rossu does not have any protection from a good suit, he's going to take 40 damage every single time he gets hit by Phantoon or a flame. So it looks like we're going to have a 4-round Phantoon. He should be able to clean this up pretty nicely. In the meantime, Zoast only has 2 more item locations that he can check in Norfair, but they're actually the 2 probably slowest ones because you have to kill Crocomire and then go all the way down to the grapple beam location. So if he finds a suit or something, it would be definitely worth it. If he finds a movement item, it might also be very helpful. But if he finds only a couple of E-tanks, this could be a really big time sink. So Rossu dispatching Phantoon, and now he's going to get ready to go check his major item locations in Wreck Ship. What do we got here? Just an energy tank at Crocomire. Probably a good call to get the refill here, though. So this room that Rossu is heading to is the one that was changed by Total in the randomizer logic. This location is normally a minor item in vanilla, but we use this room to balance out the number of major items. And whoa, he finds Ice Beam, or he finds Ice Beam, excuse me. That's a really good beam to find. Has a lot of utility and could lead to a potential Zeb skip in Torian, as well as some other cool strats.
It's a good time for donations?
Yeah, how about it?
Awesome. So we have a $100 donation by Anova80, and he says, my $100 match here. Let's kill those critters. Good luck. So we're, bridging the gap a little bit for Saber killing the animals. And we have a $10 donation by Smiley who says, hey, these new rando features are pretty cool. Shout outs to the devs.
That's right. Smiley here is the genius that helped us code everything. So basically, I don't know how to code any of these changes, so I approached him and gave him some of the things I was looking for, and he was able to create a lot of this with a lot of hard work. So Smiley, thank you very much, man. We appreciate it.
I just want to specify real quick that you need to select the incentives that you donate towards for it to be counted, because otherwise we can't modify it on our end with Tiltify. So Anova, you didn't select your incentive. I'm sorry.
All I gotta say real quick is we are about $100 away from Save or Kill the Animals, both combined, raising over $1,000 for charity. That is really awesome. So shout outs to everybody out there that's donating. We really appreciate it. Oh, okay, this is a big deal. So Zoast ended up getting 0 significant items at Crocomire. So the amount of time he invested to check these item locations did not yield anything useful. In the meantime, Rossu actually found the gravity suit at the Wreck Ship energy tank location. So that means that he can run through water. That sets him up to do the Meridia section, and it's gonna provide that 50% heat reduction if he doesn't find Varia. So I'm really curious to see what he does next. He's got 2 more Wreck Ship items he can check, and we'll see if he decides to go over to them. That was a sick strat by Zoast, getting a super perfectly shot at that gate while he collected the item. I do want to quickly just say on my part, I'd like to really thank both of these runners. They can't hear me at the moment, but it's really cool of them to agree to come and do this. Originally, it was Rossu and myself who were scheduled to race, but I figured it would probably be better for me to be on commentary to try to explain the randomizer. So Zoast was incredibly gracious enough to agree to come and race today, so I really appreciate both of these guys being here. And I'd like to thank the NoReset guys for allowing us to make the change. So it's a real team effort. I think that was the plasma beam over at the wreck ship reserve location. So that's actually going to be an item that Rossu in the normal randomizer would not be able to collect right now because he doesn't have speed booster. But in this case, he can because that block can now be broken by regular bombs, which he does have. I think he picked up bombs earlier, so we'll find out. Rossu will also have the opportunity to check the gravity suit location. So Rossu's going to get to take a little bit of a break here. We call this the bowling chorizo. And he just gets to chill out for a little bit. This is the point in a normal speed run where you get really nervous because usually before you collect gravity, you know if you're on a sick pace or not. And if you are, you have like 30 seconds to just sit here and think about all the ways you could screw your run up.
Oh, that's horrible.
So, yeah.
Never thought of it like that.
Oh, yeah. Looks like Zoasty is going to get ready to do some, he's going to attempt some really sick tech here. He's going to try to do an ocean fly. We'll see. We'll see if he got it. If he gets the door, it'll open, and then he'll fly through. Oh, so close.
Yeah.
That was such a great attempt. Okay, Rossu, if you look at Rossu's side real quick, this is one of the changes to the randomizer. So this is a kind of a neat example of how it can change. The power bomb actually will not open up that item location. So that block should still be up there. So he's gonna have to use a regular bomb. There it is. That regular bomb should now open that block, and he should be able to access his plasma beam, which is the most powerful beam in the game. However, since they only have the starter charge beam and haven't found normal charge yet, all their charge shots are only doing 30% of the original value.
Oh, okay.
So they can't necessarily kill the bosses very quickly unless they find the, original charge beam. Part of the reason we like to make that change and the changes to the minor items is to make looking for minor items more of a decision. If there's less supers but they have greater value, then you get to decide how comfortable you are looking for more or trying to go fast and have a longer boss fight. So there's a lot of opportunity to kind of put your own spin on the run and take as much risk as you want. Rossu only finding an energy tank at the gravity location. And Zo's getting ready to finish up a beautiful 2-round Fantoon. Very nice. That Doppler is a very hard kill to do. Now, Zoast already checked all of the Norfair item locations, which Rossu has not checked yet. So even though Rossu it looks like he's kind of ahead, there's still a balance depending on how many item locations Rossu wants to check. Also, Zoast is going to move, slightly faster through portions of wrecked ship by having the speed booster in advance that Rossu did not have. So there's a lot going on, and we won't be able to tell just who's ahead or behind until much later.
Also, I just want to point out that we are less than $350 away from having a mystery bonus run added as an incentive. So, I mean, keep them coming. Seriously, Saber Kill it's happening. We have a bid war, everyone.
Close to $5,000 raised on Saturday night with a full day to go, and a full night to go tonight is really fantastic. So, very hype.
And I forgot to mention that if we do get to 5,000, that's officially, let's call it a world record for donation for NoReset, because even in Canada, 4,900 USD is the highest we've gone. So
nice.
And that's where we started, because we're from Montreal. Now we're doing all DreamHacks across North America. Thanks to all of you, and thanks for you guys are such welcoming people. It's an absolute pleasure working with you and getting these events going. And like I say, without runners, without attendees, without everyone, it doesn't matter if we put up an event that no one comes to. So thank you for showing up to all of you. And thanks to everyone who's watching, donating. And it's for a great cause as well. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys for putting this on. This is awesome. It's a great event for us to watch and to participate in, and then awesome to raise money for charity.
Most definitely.
By the way, I got to give a quick shout out to my buddy Electronic Logic, who set a world record in the Joy of Kaizo earlier tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So very awesome by him. This is, whoever wins this race is essentially going to set a world record because this is like the first official race of this randomizer logic. So we got world records in donations, world records in Kaizo, and maybe some world records in Super Metroid too. All right, Rossu has decided to go check the Meridia location items. So he is actually going to wait to go to Norfair, which we already know. Actually, now that I think about it, we already know that the Varia suit is not in Norfair.
Yeah.
And it cannot be in lower Norfair by the way the logic is set up. So at the Varia suit has to be somewhere here in Meridia. We're not sure where. Rossu doesn't know necessarily that it has to be here because he hasn't collected the Norfair items, but at some point or another, he's either going to find it or it's going to be in a hidden place that he ends up leaving. So we'll just have to wait and see. He's going to head down to check this wreck ship, excuse me, not wreck ship, but Meridia Reserve location. This is one of the major item locations in the Meridia section of the game. Meanwhile, Zoast is getting to chill for a minute and enjoy his bowling.
Well, we got more donations in.
Have at it.
So we have a $50 donation from I can't English tonight, what the hell? From Dorkmaster Fleck, who says, "Hey G-Virus, glad to see the No Reset crew kicking ass on the road for charity. Love the Super Metroid Randomizer. Great job, runners, and always enjoy to hear Kip on commentary. Keep up the great work, everybody." And I second that.
Thank you, Dorkmaster. Appreciate it, man.
We also have a $10 donation by Lovebird the Third, who says, "As a fellow bird, I would like to save the animals."
Yay.
And one more donation of $1.56 by Sassy Hates Uneven Dollar Amounts, and the comment is just a heart.
All right, Zoast actually saved a little bit of time here. He used the traditional method of reaching this plasma item with the speed booster. Since Rossu did not have the speed booster, he had to take time to climb the room and drop a bomb. So Zoast picking up a few seconds here and there. Here's that microwave beam on Rossu's side. Notice that it doesn't do quite as much damage though because he doesn't have the vanilla charge beam. So that took maybe about 5 or 6 more seconds than it normally would have with the regular charge beam. But it is cool that he even had the possibility of doing that. So
Yeah.
microwave strats hype.
Hot Pocket percent.
Exactly. Also, since Rossu does not have the speed booster here, he cannot run through the bottom of this section. So he's going to have to take a little bit of extra time to go through this little maze and drop some bombs. So this will be another room where Zoast could potentially save a little bit of time by utilizing that speed booster. So the randomizer, the way randomizers work, it's really interesting because depending on which way you go, you can end up saving or losing time in other sections relative to what your opponent chose to do and what items they had at the time. So it's really fascinating how it can work out. In particular, Rossu will not be able to use the traditional speed booster method of killing Dragon, which also means he won't be able to potentially get a blue suit or a spike suit, which makes leaving this area a lot faster. So I'm curious to see what he chooses to do in terms of killing Dragon here. He might choose to try to do a quick grapple kill, which is kind of the way most people kill Dragon in vanilla.
Yeah.
But sometimes Dragon doesn't cooperate, so we'll have to see what happens. So Zoast now is, he's got an interesting choice here because he knows for sure that the Varia suit is in Meridia, but at the same time, he has a ton of E-tanks, so he technically could go do the lower Norfair hell runs if he wanted to, but it looks like he's going to opt to not, and he's also going to go to Meridia to check these items. Oh, I actually forgot. Yeah, I should have mentioned that. Rossu is going to use the microwave beam, so very nicely done. Took a little bit longer than normal, but
Microwave shrimp, anyone?
No offense to anybody out there, but microwave shrimp doesn't sound overly appealing to me.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
What about alien shrimp in the microwave?
Maybe, but all I have to say is, oh baby, we got the Varia suit.
There we go.
The most powerful
yes.
item in Super Metroid Randomizer. So that means that Rossu will now no longer take heat damage. It also means he doesn't have to trek around into Meridia to try to find where the very item might be in a longer check. So now he is equipped to basically go to Norfair, and if he wants to, he could technically bypass some of the Bubble Mountain items because he has the ability with that starter charge beam to kill Ridley, but that fight would be a good bit longer than normal unless he finds charge beam on the way somehow. So I'm kind of interested to see what strategy choice he makes here, given the options in the new randomizer. Also, I'm a little disappointed they haven't found high jump boots yet.
Yeah.
I feel like they found everything but high jump boots.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah. Okay, looks like Zoast is making a save here. That usually means that the runner's gonna check the reserve item location. It looks like he is gonna do that. Rossu, in the meantime, is getting ready to head to Norfair. And Zoast gonna find an energy tank, which is not what you want to see. I would assume he is now going to just straight go to Dragon and dispatch of the shrimp. And when he finds that Varia suit, he's essentially going to be in go mode. In particular, since he already has the speed booster and spring ball items, I think when he finds Varia, that's going to be it for items for him, and he's just going to try to finish the game. I'm curious to see if Rossu will or not, because some of the items he could find could make him go faster, but it also takes time to search for them, so it's a give and take. And looks like we got some microwave Batoon action going on. And I'd like to shout out one of Zoast's other favorite games, Symphony of the Night. Die, monster. You don't belong in this world. Unfortunately, Zoast will not be able to do one of the most famous Super Metroid tricks, the full halfie. The reason he cannot do it is because he does not have the high jump boots, which basically makes it almost impossible to pull that move off. But luckily he has the space jump, so he can go a little bit faster. Looks like Rossu is going to farm up a little bit here before Lower Norfair. It does look like he's going to skip a lot of the item checks that he could do in Bubble Mountain. One thing I would like to point out that's very intriguing is super missiles are incredibly powerful against Ridley, and they do double damage. So a super missile, let's do some math real quick. Super missiles traditionally do 300 damage. Against Ridley, they do double, so they do 600. And Ridley has 18,000 hit points. That means that 30 supers is basically the fastest way that you can kill Ridley. Rossu has not been checking that many minors, so he only has 10 supers. So he's gonna have to, you know, use those 10 supers and then the rest do charge shots or maybe some missiles, which will make it a little bit slower. Zoast, on the other hand, has 25, so when he gets to Ridley, his fight will be significantly faster, so we'll see how that plays out. Zoast getting ready to try to close this fight off with a blue suit by using the speed booster. Unfortunately, doesn't quite get it. He's gonna microwave Dragon for the end here. And good job. Okay, technically Rossu has two choices here. If he goes left in this room, he can go check the screw attack item location. Looks like he is gonna check that location. It's gonna require a green gate glitch, which is where you use a very specific jump and shot of your super missile to get through that gate. This is a major item location. It takes a little bit to check, but if you find a good item, it can be worth it. What is it gonna be? Oh, vanilla charge. That's huge. That means that Rossu's beams are now gonna do 100% of their normal value, and he already has ice, wave, and plasma, so he has the full beam combination and will do 900 damage per shot. That means that's a 20-shot Ridley fight and a 20-shot Mother Brain 2 fight. That saves a lot of time. So that's a pretty big find right there. Also, having screw attack is going to be extremely helpful in lower Norfair. This is usually a very dangerous portion of the run and can also be kind of tricky with the speed tech. But having the screw attack means Rossu doesn't have to worry about anything. He can basically just jump through any enemy he runs across.
Yeah.
So now that Zoast has his various suit, he's also in go mode. I would assume we will not see Zoast check any more items. So I'm really curious to see how this plays out. Rossu's probably unlikely to check any more items as well. And Zoast is, you know, in a different part of the map, but trying to head to the same place Rossu is. Rossu has Charge Beam. Zoast only has Starter Charge Beam, but then Rossu doesn't have as many supers, so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Oh, and Zoast has Speed Booster that Rossu doesn't have, which plays a huge part in a lot of strats, as well as the escape at the end. So I'm curious to see how this plays out.
Yeah, that's right.
Sometimes there's so much going on in a randomizer, it's hard to keep track of everything. Since Rossu has his full charge beam value, he can actually use a charge shot strat here that he probably would not have used otherwise. Very nicely done. And he's got one more room to jump across. He'll use a super missile on this ball store, and then he will fight Kraid. Or excuse me, not Kraid, but Ridley, excuse me. A little bit different between Ridley and Kraid, just slightly different.
Just a tiny bit.
This is one of the hardest boss fights in the game in many categories. Very hard to optimize. Ridley has the most insane AI of any creature in this game. Technically, his tail and his body have two completely separate AI functions, so there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. Should only take 20 shots. It looks like Rossu's maybe about 11 or 12 deep here. I wasn't counting, but Ridley has turned pink, so that means Ridley is at 50 or less than 50% health. And as he gets lower and lower, he speeds up his movement. I would assume he's probably around 15 or 16 shots at the moment, maybe, based on his movement speed. Okay, this should be coming to a close here shortly. There it is. Ridley is dead. Now he just needs to pick up Rossu. Very nicely done. Zoast is not going to check the screw attack, so he will save that, roughly minute to go check that item. However, he will lose the time that Rossu will gain in terms of the beam damage. Zoast is only going to be doing 270 damage per shot instead of 900, so that means his Ridley fight and Mother Brain fight will be a little bit slower, but he does have some supers to compensate for that. So at this point, Rossu has killed all 4 of the major bosses, and he's ready to go. He can technically head to Torian if he doesn't want to check any more items. Zoast using some nice new route tech there to use a Shine Spark strat against the Key Hunters. What you'll notice here is with that Power Bomb, since he killed all those Key Hunters, it reduces the lag significantly in the room. So that actually saved maybe like 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds or so by killing those Key Hunters. We got a little bit of a high five. They're currently in the same room, just going opposite directions. Zoast is going to utilize probably the Shine Spark method to kill these pirates. There we go, very nice. Uses a short charge to get a spark. And then he uses those echoes to kill the pirates in the room. Very nicely done. Oh, that was a sick strat. Is he gonna get the spring ball too? Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. That's some GT classic tech right there, which by the way, Zoast just recently significantly lowered the GT Classic world record time. So it's been fun watching him do that, and that's one of the really sweet pieces of tech from that run. I love those multi-room strats.
Yeah.
Very fun to watch. Okay, Rossu's still checking some minor item locations. Maybe he's wanting a few more missiles or supers. Probably supers since he bypassed those missiles. He probably wants to just make sure he's got enough to get through Mother Brain 1 and the rest of the stuff in Torian. Zoasty utilized those supers for a very quick Ridley kill. And ladies and gentlemen, it does look like Rossu is now going to go check the wave location. So this is going to take some time for him to check this location that Zoast already checked. But if I recall correctly, he's going to find the speed booster item here, which is going to save time later. So I'm really interested to see how the end of this race runs out. Like, this is essentially now just speedrun versus speedrun, trying to do is have as clean movement as you can possibly have. And I will take this moment to really encourage anybody in the chat. Super Metroid is a very, very sort of difficult and challenging speedrun, but at the same time, it's very rewarding. Like, when you put in time into it, it's very fun to play. We've got an excellent community of people who are very supportive and very helpful and, you know, answer people's questions. So if you guys are inspired by any of the cool stuff you're seeing and want to give this a shot, please come join the SRL Discord for Super Metroid and introduce yourself, and we'll be glad to help you out.
And I can only second this. I mean, I've been in and out of that community over the past, I was like 14 when I started speedrunning this game. And it's a wonderful community, but it's also a very wonderful game. And it looks intimidating at first, but do know that you don't need to be competing for top 10 on leaderboards to be speedrunning. It's not, that's not what it's about. And this game, trust me, even if you're just what's considered a mid-level runner, what you're gonna pull off is gonna feel so satisfying, and the sense of accomplishment in completing a run and just landing your first Alcatraz feels amazing. And that's just considered like a bread and butter strat for anyone who runs Super Metroid, but the first time you get it though, it's amazing.
Totally agree.
And with also Crate Quick Kill, the first time you'll land your Crate Quick Kill, you'll feel like a superstar.
Exactly.
So, and you know who else are superstars? All those people who donated just now. So we got a $1.01 donation by Lovebird the Ferb, who says, "You said you don't like uneven dollar amounts?" Then we have Zombie Punk TV donated $15 and say, "Such an interesting race so far. I can't wait to see who comes out on top. But a huge thank to you, Kip, Rossu, and Zoasty, as well as all the runners so far, and ones yet to do their runs, for making this the hypest NoReset. And thank you, viewers, for making such a huge difference for MS 5K. Let's go."
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And it's not over. We got a $20.99 donation by Sassy Zenny, Shiny Zenny, and our kids. In this house, we kill the animals.
That's right.
Then we got a $3.33 donation by Cryptech Fox, who says, "Team Uneven Donos."
Thanks to everybody who donated. I got to give a shout out to Shiny Zenny and Sassy Zenny, his wife, and their kids. Really, really great people. And Shiny Zenny is one of the great speedrunners that we have in our community. He currently has the world record in one of our major categories, RBO, which is a completely insane run.
Oh my God.
Where you actually kill Ridley first without all the suit upgrades. So you're taking heat damage all the time. It's nuts. So
and RBO actually stands for Reverse Boss Order, and it's as insane as it sounds.
That's right.
And you know what else is insane?
What's that?
Save the Animals is still ahead with $711.44.
Proud of you guys.
Wow.
And Kill the Animals lagging behind. Like, I'm not impressed with the Kill the Animal count this time. Like, they're not showing up. It's a 287 and 79. I mean, you can shut me up and help a charity at the same time. So come on, show me what you got.
We're less than $1 away from $1,000 total between save and kill. So let's see who's going to be the person to get us over the hump. But Rossu is ahead. He's got, I would say at this point, maybe about a minute lead on Zoast. Maybe a little bit less, depending on depending on how they move through the rooms. But they don't have to wait at the G4 location. They get to go straight into Torian. So at this point, this is just a straight up speed race. There's no more items to collect. Zo's gonna invest a little bit of time here to get some super missiles. He obviously needs those to finish Torian. And at this point, Rossu is gonna be killing all of the Metroids in each room. And this is gonna be a really crazy race with a crazy ending. It's actually gonna probably be a lot closer than it might appear at the moment. So get your donations in now because the save kill is going to end here in a few minutes when they get done killing Mother Brain.
And at this point, we're pretty much at $1,000 raised just with this incentive. So thank you, everyone.
Excellent.
I mean, we could be at 1,500, but we're at 1,000 because we're going to save the animals, right?
Yes.
Okay, Rossu wanted to make sure he got enough super drops. He just barely did. They were a little bit stingy there. He's going to get ready here to go into what would traditionally be one of the big tricks in Super Metroid, the baby skip. But neither runner will be able to pull this off in tonight's run because they don't have the high jump boots.
Oh, that's right.
So as you can see, Rossu is actually doing a smart thing. He's damaging himself down since he can't go for the skip because the baby's going to attach itself to Samus and then start draining energy. So the lower energy you have when the drain begins, the quicker you get through that section. So that was very smart. In the meantime, Zoast is moving incredibly fast through these rooms. As soon as I say that, I jinxed him a bit on that last strat. But he's almost caught up with Rossu. He's only about 2 rooms away, maybe 3 rooms away. But Rossu will have a faster Mother Brain due to having the vanilla charge. So this is going to get really, really interesting. Okay, Rossu is taking off his screw attack. It's going to be kind of difficult for me to explain this, but the Zeb skip is a trick that's coming up here in a minute, which is going to save a ton of ammo and actually allow Rossu to get through the Mother Brain portion of the room. But he can't do the Zeb skip the traditional way with the screw attack on, because every time you spin jump with screw attack on, it resets your iframes. And he needs his iframes to be active when he pushes himself through these Zebs. So he's gonna freeze this Rinka, take damage, use his iframes in a spin jump to get through that Zeb. So that was very nicely done. He would not have been able to do it quite like that had he kept the screw attack on. So now he's just needing to get some damage into Mother Brain. Very nicely done. Zoast right behind. And Rossu's going to begin his Mother Brain 2 fight. 20 charge shots is going to lead to the death of Mother Brain 2. Another interesting fact is that Rossu will not be able to do a stand-up glitch, which requires 7 energy tanks, which then allows you to damage Mother Brain during the baby attack sequence. Zoast can do it, but then Zoast only has the baby starter charge beam, so he won't be able to do quite as much damage. So I'm really curious to see how this plays out. Zoast pulling off a 6-speed Zeb skip. That's a very tough trick. And Mother Brain 2 has been defeated by Rossu. Nicely done. Now Rossu cannot stand up. He's just gonna have to sit there and wait for this whole cut sequence to unfold. Zoast in the meantime gonna need about 60 charge shots minus whatever super missiles he uses. So this is very close. I would give the edge right now to Rossu. I think Rossu's far enough ahead with the number of shots that Zoast would have to shoot to where he's gonna have maybe like a half minute or so, maybe a little bit more lead by the end of the stand-up glitch. We'll have to wait and see. But this has been an incredible race. It's been really fun to watch them make different choices and see how it plays out over the course of a run.
So here we have meatballs.
Yep, meatballs, onion rings.
Onion rings. Ketchup soon.
Yeah, ketchup.
And we got the French fry right there.
Yeah, French fry, but ketchup's coming up. Ketchup.
Okay, so we need to know whether save or kill is going to be the thing here in about maybe 20, 30 seconds or so. And warning, It looks like Save's gonna win.
Yeah.
I have no idea what's gonna happen when they enter that room to save the animals. It could be all kinds of madness, so we'll see what happens here. So unless we have a last second 500 plus donation to kill the animals, it looks like it's gonna be Save. All right, G-Virus, what do we got?
All right, so in the case of saving versus killing the animals, Kill the Animals actually did not make a comeback. It's still standing at 287.79, and Save the Animals wins with $716.45.
Nice.
So we are saving the animals.
Save. All right, so we're good. Let's go see the Save the Animals here. I'm really curious to see what it's gonna be. Do you think he's gonna save the animals? Do you think he's gonna fight Dragon again, Ridley again, or do you think the game's gonna just end? What do you think is gonna happen?
I think it's gonna fight Dragon again.
He's gonna fight Dragon? All right, let's find out.
Hard to tell.
Hard to tell.
I'm gonna roll the dice and say that he's gonna fight the entity.
I'm going to say that it's going to be vanilla. I think, like, because there's a chance for it to be vanilla too. I think he's just going to go in and see the animals and help them out and then leave. Let's find out.
Gotta love the stand-up glitch though.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Rossu trying to get off the exploding planet here, which when you play the game the first time, this is like a really nervous part.
Yeah, it's really stressful, yeah.
All right, what's it gonna be?
Called it! Called it!
So he goes into the room. You can't see what happened, but I assure you, Rossu definitely shot the wall. The animals definitely got away, and they are free to escape to make it to Fusion. So Fusion is safe for now. In the meantime, Zoast is also ready. Zoast, we're saving.
See? There you go.
And while Zoast is making his way to the animals, I want to give a big shout out to Rossu again for helping us with the race today. Thank you so much, Rossu. Playing some fun Super Metroid and raising some money for charity. And if you guys don't mind, in the control room, if you would be able to get their microphones on here shortly and we can do a quick interview with them.
Of course, as soon as the Zoast is done, well, at this point, we could actually activate them now. Yep. This one.
Oh, so close. So close on the left side.
I'll get it.
There we go. Very nice.
Optimal spark. Clearly.
Look at those credits, though.
Oh yeah, we updated the credits to include all the people that worked on the randomizer. So thanks to everybody. Yeah, GG guys, that was a lot of fun. And we'll do a quick interview with them. Real quick, I do want to point out, if you go to our webpage right now, you can download the program. Eventually we're gonna get everything to the Varia randomizer webpage. We also have some announcements on there. We're gonna be putting on a really fun tournament, a one-day tournament in January for cash prizes that will be featured on the Speed Gaming channel. So there'll be some information on the website about that. But real quick, gentlemen, can you guys test your mics? Can you talk into it?
Check.
Very good. So thank y'all so much for doing this race. That was a really intriguing run to watch. Rossu, we'll start with you. You made the decision to go up to wreck ship a little bit earlier before doing any hell runs in Norfair. So just talk us through what you were thinking when you were making your decisions.
Traditionally, I don't like doing hell runs. I thought that, you know, in a marathon or a race situation like this, doing a hell run for me personally is a huge risk. I tend to make a lot of movement-based mistakes, so entering into Norfair with only 4 E-tanks was very risky for me. So I checked high jump, I checked ice, and there was nothing. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to go to wreck ship, because chances are, I might at least find more E-tanks for a better.
Gotcha.
run.
Good call. I like what you just said too, because one of my favorite things about randomizers is it's not only about speed tech, there's also some sort of strategy in terms of how you individually want to approach a seed.
Right.
And some runners will make different decisions than others based on what they're comfortable with. And I thought it was cool that you played to your comfort level and it worked out really well. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Zoast, for you did a lot of those hell runs. I know you're super comfortable with like RBO and stuff. I think the big thing that was probably the disappointment was the double E-tank at Crocomire. So what do you think about, like, in terms of the decisions that you made? What were you thinking when you were running?
I don't feel bad about the decisions. Like, doing the hell runs, it was very helpful having the Crystal Flash ammo. That's what really made it certain that I was going to Bubble Mountain. And I remember you saying that it doesn't drive, like, the logic to have the bomb breaking the wreck ship thing, so it's not necessarily mean anything's there.
Correct.
Also, so I felt all right about it. I mean, what can you do? I mean, that's rando for you.
That's rando for you. Well, that's the cool part about rando and why we like to do so many tournaments and leagues is because a lot of times, sometimes we'll do 1 race or best out of 3 or whatever, but you just never know, man. You never know what's going to happen with a randomizer seed. And so I really want to thank these 2 guys again for agreeing to come do this, taking their time and traveling here to do so. It's been a lot of fun. And once again, I want to thank all the NoReset people. So since we got Zoast here, with the final credits, we want to get ready for Deer Force G-Virus.
I was going to say that actually.
All right.
Because we can't, you know me, we can't not do it.
Let's do it.
Taking off my mic.
Dear Force.
Here we go. I live for this shit.
Is it going to be 100%? Is it going to be 100%?
135.
Max percent, GT. All right, ladies and gentlemen out there, thank you for donating and thank you for everybody here. That's going to complete the Super Metroid portion. Thank y'all so much. Hope you enjoyed it.
Fun fact, by the way, Kip, before we leave, something very important I want to share with you.
Yes.
We just did Deer Force.
Correct.
I just realized that the water we're drinking is Deer Park.
Hey, very nice.
Deer Park!
I don't know if it has quite the same ring to it, but hey, let's roll with it.
Yeah, there you go. But once again, before we leave, thank you, Kip, for setting this all up, because that was basically, you're the mastermind behind all of this and getting Zoast to come here and, take your place because you wanted to commentate. And let's hear it for Kip and his amazing commentary, by the way.
You.
I mean, I know that everyone enjoyed this. No matter what you guys think, that was a close race. And Rossu, showcased exactly what a randomizer is in the sense that, like you said, it's not just purely execution. There's a lot of logic and strategy involved in this. And on the flip side, you had Zoast just pulled off, I'm thinking about Lower Norfair and the mock ball, spring ball.
Oh, that was so
that was beautiful.
That was really lucky.
Yeah.
That's not something you usually see without high jump, so that surprised me as much as anybody.
Yeah, that was awesome.
You call that lucky? We might not have the same definition of lucky, you and I, but I mean, honestly, it was great, and it was an absolute honor to have all of you on this show today. And I mean, we're almost at the $5,000 mark, which honestly is beyond all my wildest expectations for this event. So once again, thank you everyone. Save or Kill the Animal is a huge success, and we're not even done for tonight. We've got 2 more runs coming up. Coming up next, we will have, well, more than 2 actually. We have Sunset Riders. So Kip, don't go too far.
A game that's almost as hard as Super Metroid.
There you go, almost. The same game, same thing, same. And then Pony Island's been moved to tomorrow, actually, because of some scheduling conflicts. And then we're going to follow up with Resident Evil 3 with IG Dagger and Resident Evil Dead Aim with the level best. So we're going to go to a quick transition, get Kip set up so he can actually do some work, and we'll be right back.
And thank you, Angie, for being on couch. Appreciate it.
Yes, of course, Angie. I'm so sorry, Angie.
Thank you.
Angie on the couch. So let's go, everyone. Let's keep it coming, and let's reach 5K tonight. We can do it. 5K high.